Good morning, friends. Welcome to the show, and I'm very very happy to meet you guys once again on the Open Up platform. My name is Sivam Velaidam, and here we are on Sundays. Of course, somewhere somehow it will different for you guys some places. So let me go through just to give you a brief introduction about Voice of Men 360 and International Men's Day and Open Up. So Open Up is a basically is a platform where individual can come and share their life stories. So whenever you share your life stories, experience, journey, challenges, overcome anything you name it. So whoever is listening to the other end, listening on the other end, it will give you some kind of hope, some kind of belief. You can change your mindset, the thinking pattern, and everything. So giving some kind of awareness, creating some kind of awareness through this platform. That's what it is. Open up. Basically, when you see men's, we don't really open up our heart and then we don't discuss our personal issues. This is the platform you can come and you can share your personal experiences. So, Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization. It's based in Toronto, Canada. Recently started, and it is part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day is being here for more than 20 years. This year, 2020, is the 21st year. And so far, 90 countries around the world joined together and then they are taking initiatives on a regular basis. So let me go through the six pillars that what IMD actually focusing or taking. Six pillars of International Men's Day to promote positive male role models, not just movie stars and the sportsmen, but everyday working class men who are living decent, honest lives. Number two, to celebrate men's positive contributions to society, community, family, marriage, childcare, and the environment. Number three, to focus on men's health and well being, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. To highlight discrimination against men in areas of social services, social attitudes, expectations, and law. Number five, to improve gender relations and promote gender equality. Number six, to create a safer, better world where people can be safe and grow to reach their full potential. These are the six pillars we are actually following. IMD International Men's Day and also Voice of Men 360. Every week, as you so far you can see, every week on platform this open up, we bring individual and expertise and let them share their life stories. Today we have an awesome person, Joshua. Let me welcome Josh. Here we go. Joshua, good morning. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you, Steven?
Very good, very good. Let's just start with your brief introduction, please.
All right. So I do online coaching and lifestyle coaching and fitness coaching for men, women, and young athletes all over the world online. I've done it for most of the years in person, and I came into this kind of in a strange way. Like I started my career or my fitness journey at 375 pounds. I graduated high school at 310 pounds, being the biggest guy I knew. And I was weird, antisocial, awkward, struggled with depression, anxiety, and I had a lot of issues. And in working through those, I learned a lot about how to set and achieve goals, how to understand myself, and how to move forward in life in kind of all the areas. And I try and pass all that on to the people I work with through coaching. And even though it has kind of a fitness focus, you really can't separate the mental aspect of it. Things like stress are going to bleed over and ruin all your goals. And really, it's just that goal setting and self review process that I try and pass on to people so they can use it for fitness or for life or for dealing with a lot of different issues.
That's really awesome, man. Nice to hear. Of course, everybody has ups and downs, of course. Let me take you to your early childhood. Let's go back to 5, 10, 15 years old. What was your, can you remember anything that related to your current profession, like any kind of incident, influence or motivation or something happened in your life in the past, like, when you were that kind of old, 5 or 10 years old, 15?
Um, I was kind of a strange kid. Mostly, I wasn't really into sports because I was bad at them because I was a big kid. So I just thought it wasn't for me, but I was really into education. So I've read a lot about everything, and that's kind of served me well in this stuff. But all of my friends were into sports and they were into fitness and they were into being pretty active. And I tried to play baseball, tried to play football. And I always had this want to be good at those sorts of things. Um, and it didn't happen until I really got a lot of other things in order. About middle school is kind of when I gave up on the sporty aspect of things, then sort of even through my high school career was kind of an isolated antisocial kid until I well really started finding mentors to help me improve in the areas that I was lacking. So in school, I had my probably first mentor is this English teacher that was really into life and philosophy. And he was a spiritual guy, even though I wasn't. But he really helped me deal with empathy and emotional intelligence. And that was something that didn't come up a lot from my own father. And really started to set me on the path to understanding other people and getting outside of myself and allowing me to see the problems other people are facing. And that benefits me now because now I know how to help them get on the right path or at least get started in the right direction to solving a lot of different issues, both emotional, personal, social, or economic, or fitness related. And that was probably my first introduction with like mentorship. And from there on, I've always kind of found people to follow or that would teach me the things I wanted to learn to help get my life ahead.
That's nice to hear, man. Let's talk about the relationship between you and your father. It doesn't matter either. We had a good or bad, or it doesn't matter. But let's talk about a little bit if you are comfortable with that. One is, let's say, when you are growing up as a little boy, and then
Mhm.
when you become a man in the adulthood. How do you see the transition, or what did you learn, or what are the challenges, or how do you see that?
Um, I had a rough relationship with my father growing up. I mean, he did teach me a lot of good skills, and my fondest memories were we used to go out on like youth hunting trips and things like that when I was a child a lot. But other than that, we didn't have anything in common. He was a very practical guy, and I was really into books and ideologies. And we kind of had a rocky relationship when I turned into a teenager. I was a little rebellious and he didn't handle it as well. He was kind of an angry guy and he chased women a lot, as it were. And by the time I was 18, he was probably remarried, I guess, 4 times. And I was from the first marriage. And I don't quite remember my parents being together at any point. So that's just how everything always was. Though, in retrospect, now that I'm in my mid 30s, I mean, my dad had me, I guess, probably when he was about 20 years old. So I would have been 15 when I was kind of rebelling, and he would have been about the age I am now. And I think it takes a while to learn. Like I think a challenge as a father, I'm not one yet, but if I had a 15-year-old kid right now, I'm not quite sure how I could handle that. Like I'm just getting ready to set up to have my first kid in the near future at almost 40. So I think young parents especially struggle building a relationship with their kids. because they're trying to balance a lot, trying to build a life instead of having one built. And especially divorced fathers, they still want that companionship. But when I was younger, didn't quite see it that way. I kind of saw it as somebody taken away from my time and my relationship, because I only got to see my dad 2 days a week because of the weird way they did custody out here. And it's had its ups and downs, though I've gained a little bit more understanding as I've grown up. We don't talk a whole lot, but I don't, have any resentment or anything like I did when I was about 18 or 20 or coming of age, and didn't quite understand all the pressures that are on parents today.
Uh, if you don't mind, like, do you talk to them nowadays?
Um, I talked to him about a year and a half ago. We don't keep steady contact. Um, Still difference of opinions on some things, still like different things, but I think from a personal standpoint, because we'd had such a rocky relationship, I wanted to build, I don't know, a strong foundation of success, maybe, to go back to him on and say, hey, look what I've done, or look what I managed to accomplish. Because he was the one that kind of took steps and just disappeared for a while. And then as he got older, he wanted to get back in my life, and we have just never lined it back up like that. But if I'm going to have a kid in the future, um, I'd kind of like to mend that relationship a little bit, and probably is something I could work on as well.
Yeah, of course. No, it's not like a kind of like a personal question, but also from a man standing point, or man's perspective. How do we see the other persons? That's what I want to hear from you. Nothing really mean to be. But let's talk about your school days, man. Like any high school or college or whatever. What are the challenges actually you went through on those days? Because you had a rough time. But let's talk about a couple of things. Even nowadays, you can see the same thing happening right now. So let's talk about that, because it will help somebody.
Through college and high school, I didn't talk to my dad very much at all then. We had argued a lot, and it was on and off. And I did well at school, but socially, I didn't really have any friends. I was a very depressed kid. And then into early college, I was very depressed, very anxious, and finally started struggling with school. And I didn't have any a whole lot of direction on what to do. My family didn't talk a lot about emotions. And I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and had to start a long mental health journey. And again, saw a therapist who kind of became another mentor that helped me understand and work on my mental health and my emotional intelligence over the course of 4 to 6 years. But it wasn't ever something that I got to talk to my dad or my family about. They were more of just a suck it up and push on type of family when I was younger. And I think they've gained a little bit more understanding now that times went on, and I've kind of grown into a person that helps other people with these sort of issues. Um, because the number of kids that I end up working with that are into sports and things, a disproportionate amount of them seem to be like angry or upset, or don't really know how to deal with that. And then if they get depressed or stressed, they still try and suck it up and go as hard as they can. And I try and spread that message to them that, the stress bleeds over to all the areas of your life. The anger bleeds over. If you can use it in a healthy way, like sports tends to be a good outlet for it, or exercise or weightlifting is something good to pour that kind of energy into. It helps a lot. But definitely emotional management is something that I started to learn in my high school, college career that I try and pass on.
Um, it's really quite interesting to hear. I mean, uh, of course, there were a lot of challenges you went through. How about the midlife crisis that you had? Can you go back to the exactly moment? You know what? You, I cannot, I couldn't take it anymore. that's exactly movement that day, or sometimes that exactly movement. I cannot, I don't know how to take it. I cannot take it anymore. So that the twist point or the changing turning point. Can you go to that moment?
Yeah, I remember the exact day when I decided that I really needed to change. I was 27. I was a really big guy. I was 375 pounds at this point. Still struggled with depression. And at the time, I was living on a fixed income, a government check for disability because of my bipolar disorder. And I had been seeing a girl for a couple of months, been on a couple of dates, and I was sitting at a table with my mom talking about this girl and how wonderful she was and kind, and she had a great job and all this stuff she had to offer. And I didn't think like I was measurable or wasn't worthy of, this girl. And I didn't think she would continue seeing me. And my mom, being a kind lady, was trying to cheer me up and get me to see my good points. And she asked me a question. And the question was, well, what do you have to offer? And I couldn't think of a single thing. I still lived with my parents. I didn't have a job or a successful career lined up. I hadn't finished school. I mean, I was nice and caring and loved people in general, but I couldn't think of anything I had to offer that would make me a good husband, as it were. And so that was kind of my epiphany or wake up moment that I needed to get my butt into gear. I needed to make myself the type of person that could provide value to the world, or at least value to somebody if I was looking to create a family or build a relationship, or, I mean, improve myself and save myself from my situation the way it was.
It's really awesome, and it is a lot of things in the twisting moment or turning point. I will come back to that exactly, or those midlife crises. But let's talk about the things you are helping or you are doing right now. How do you are how are you helping, or through your service, and then uh, what do you see those young kids or youths actually facing commonality or the common issues those kids are facing right now?
A lot of the kids I work with are trying to measure up in sports. And usually the ones I work with locally, they come in two categories. There are the all stars who are like pushed by their parents to succeed, and they've got this huge pressure and weight on them that they need to get there. They need to be the best. They want to be the star. And then on the other end of the spectrum, it's kids that are afraid they're not going to make the team. They're a little bit, overweight or underperforming, and they're not sure if they can do it. And those are the two types of kids I get, but they both face really different issues. Like the ones that are already sporty and that already have the family that's lined everything up for them and hired them a personal trainer, even though they're 10 or 12 years old, because they want them to be the best. They deal with a lot of pressure. When they are not the best, a lot of the times they don't know how to handle it. They just get upset or angry, and they've tried so hard and they're just devastated. And I try and teach them to be realistic with where they are. There's always a bigger fish. You're not always the best. Sometimes you make mistakes, and you have to review that, assess that, work on the weak points, and improve. And that's how you build a lifestyle out of being the best in whatever you're doing. The other kids that lack the confidence, I really try and build them up. And it's the same message: is you're not always going to be the best, but you can always improve. And teaching them to make promises to themselves, do the hard things like showing up for workouts and trying even sometimes when they don't believe in themselves, but just following through helps build that belief in themselves that they can handle the harder things and that they can do it. basically. And that usually keeps them in for the long term.
What are the age group you are helping them?
Usually I work with middle schoolers. So middle school boys are the football kids and basketball kids I work with right now. Occasionally I'll get a couple of kids in high school, but usually their coaches take care of most of their stuff and their training and things like that. And then with some of my online coaching, it's not so much sporty guys or anything like that. I work with, well, I generally cater towards geeks and gamers and stuff online. And they tend to be a little bit more sedentary, a little bit more shut in, and a little bit older, but they still need that same confidence boost. They've been beaten down by life or had a tough run, and they just need to learn how to set goals, make promises to themselves, and follow through to build that self belief that they can go out and do the hard thing and they can have the things they want. And
Nice, really nice to hear. I want to ask you this question really because you are actually working with them one on one and then even with the group too last number of years. How do you see when you are sitting down with a one on one any individuals either young or with the older? Are they really open? You know what they have. Uh, do you have to push them or do they actually even one or after two questions they are really open up and then they are started to talk about their personal issues, or is it really hard? Because the reason why I'm asking is there's so many cultural barriers or some kind of pressure they are in. Okay, you know what, we as a men we cannot really open up and then we cannot talk such a personal matter. So do you see in those situations?
oh yeah, it is. I really have to dig with a lot of people, young and old, to get to the root of the issue for anything. Like we always try and figure out the reasons they don't like things or don't want to do things or underperforming at things so that we can understand and adapt. But none of them are ever straightforward. I hear a lot of the same things like, oh, it's harder, it's too much time, but none of them ever really open up emotionally about how stuff helps them feel, or the fact that they're into sports because they want to impress their family, or because they love themselves, or they need to work on the relationship or their self-confidence. It always starts very much with the surface level. I just want to be fit, or I want to be good at football, or I want to be in shape. And there's always a deep seated emotional reason in there that we have to dig out. And it's finding those powerful reasons that we can draw on that'll help people be successful. But yeah, still here in the United States, guys are very much expected to, I think, culturally be the tough guy or be the performer and not stop, or complaining is seen as being a negative thing, and their emotions are taken for granted. And I think that in older people has led to a lot of guys I see struggling with depression or struggling with drinking too much alcohol, or not not even knowing how to describe some of the emotions they have so that they can deal with it, whether it's stress or anxiety or anger or things like that. But it's never very straightforward.
Um, One other thing I also want to ask you, like you went through from the starting, you were saying you had a rough time in the school days too. So can you go back and then say things has been changed, or you know, like between your age, those days, and then now, when you compare the high school or the any situations, you know, even colleges, when you come across with these students and then sitting with them and then having a conversation, do you see the same pattern, or is this getting worse or getting better, or what do you see?
Uh, I think a lot of the problems with not sharing, well, with emotional intelligence, I do feel like it's getting a little bit better with some of the middle school kids I work with. They have a lot more creative outlets. And when I was in school, I didn't have access to anything like the internet. So I felt very isolated and alone on how I felt. And it wasn't until I found that first like mentor that was kind of sensitive my senior year of high school that I started to even like consider how emotions made me perform and stuff. But a lot of kids that I work with now, they have usually found like a common tribe online or like a group that feels like them, which at least lets them know they're not alone or they're not so isolated. Um, but I think that is the big one is being able to find other people with other things in common is so easy nowadays that we're all connected. And it was a bigger issue when I was younger, but a lot of the kids still face a lot of the pressures of trying to live up to this archetype of manhood or archetype of who they think they ought to be, as opposed to being somebody that can build a good life and who they're happy being.
True, true. Yeah. Can you share one or two stories, like anything you can remember, or just you don't need any names or anything. Any tough times they had it, and then now they are getting back on the track, or some success stories. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I had worked with a kid for a long time. He wasn't into sports. He didn't like sports. His parents hired him a personal trainer to try and get him in shape, and they're like, "Oh, we want you to teach him how to play basketball." And he would show up and he would kind of half-hearted dribble around and he'd half-heart jog. And I could tell it was really like weighing on him. And the things that I was asking him to do were not his cup of tea. He just didn't want to do it. And they had said another trainer had gotten upset with him and they had ended up trying a bunch of different things. And finally, I sit down and, ask the kid instead of asking the parents, like, why are you here? What would you like to achieve? And he said, he would like to get in a little bit better shape and lose some weight. But just because he felt slow and sluggish and that he hated sports and his parents always wanted him to play, and so we finally got him to work up the courage to talk to them about playing the sports and saying he still wanted to stay doing the fitness stuff with the trainer. And I went out and there is like this dancing game called Dance Dance Revolution. It's got these metal pads. So I got that set up and you dance to the music on these pads and it's a video game. And the kid loved this. So he ended up losing like 20 pounds. He got in shape and now he does play basketball because he's good at it and athletic. But there was a good 6 months to a year where he'd quit playing any sport just because they weren't fulfilling. And he started focusing on this exergaming, is what we called it, and doing non conventional fitness stuff. And once he learned that he could excel and improve there, he decided to take it into sports. And he did finally find a love for sport and activity, where in the beginning he was just kind of doing it because, it's what he thought was expected of him from his parents.
That's really awesome, man. That's really awesome to hear. How about right now, like as I was thinking and then listening to your stories, can you go back and then see, those days that you had a really tough time or had a rough days, and then in those early days and even late 20s or 30s. Can you see the connection? You went through so many things, but now you can help those people. And then how do you see it right now nowadays when you're helping those people?
Um, I mean, all my struggles have really given me a great understanding of where people are coming from and the things they're facing in their life. Um, I think without having gone through so many different obstacles and having finally figured out how to overcome them, I wouldn't be able to help nearly as many people because I really try and help people change their lives. A lot of these people that want to transform their body, what they really need to do in order to do that is a way to transform their mind or change their self image or learn to assess where they're at, plan, and follow through. Um, but I think the struggle has also filled me with a lot of empathy. And looking back, there were times when I didn't think I would ever change, or that I thought change was impossible. We are who we are. And now that I have come out on the other side of that, a lot of the times building rapport with the people I work with is as easy as me telling them my struggle, where I've come from, and ensuring them that change is possible and that they can be who they want to be and they can achieve what they want to achieve, no matter how dark or unlikely or bad things seem now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the really nice stories you have. Um, do we have anything you want to say? Anything before we, let you go? Anything about your, current mentorship program or consulting or personal training, or you want to add anything, or do you have any future plans you want to add?
Yeah, I have started. Well, I've moved my business online under the name Elite Geek Fitness, and I help people lose weight, transform their body, their mind, and their life using non-conventional means. So in person, I do sports stuff with young kids. But if you're not local to me here in Kentucky, I can still help you change your life. And all my business is done through Facebook, and then I do personal coaching. You'll get like my phone number. We'll get to talk. And honestly, I would make time to help out anybody that looks me up and sends me a message for free. I try and give everybody that has any issues 15 minutes to an hour, see if I can help them lay out a good plan. And if you find me on Facebook as Joshua Sharp, or if you find my group or business page, Elite Geek Fitness, and you ever need any help or advice or direction, send me a message. I'm not going to turn you away, whether we work together in the long term or not. But I just want to help people get started on the right path to improving their life.
Exactly. I just remember, I just want to ask you one thing before we finish it off. Actually, when you hear those suicide ratio, like three times, then women in the, what do you call the survey, world global survey saying three times higher the men actually doing. I would say like maybe probably 80% or more than 75%. But by the end of this year, because of the lockdown and everything, it's going to be higher than that. So what do you say, or what do you see, or how you can, what do you think, like how you can help from the men point?
I think a lot of the high suicide rates and things come from feeling isolated or alone, or like you're not living up or measuring up. And I think people see that as a flaw in their character, and it's not. Life is tough, life is hard. And the stronger your base of support or the bigger your community is, the more successful you're going to be. Whenever I struggle, I look for a mentor or a friend or someone to help. And there are people out there willing to help, and they don't want anything except to share their experiences and make the world a better place. And you just have to look for those people. If you're struggling and you don't have a base of support, just start reaching out to people. Eventually, you're going to find people to help you and help pull you up to their level or help you improve. And guys have a lot of trouble asking for help in general. But life's all about community. The bigger your support group, the better you're going to do. Don't be afraid to find mentors, learn from others' experiences, and get the help when you need it.
Exactly, exactly. So the final word is actually the environment you belong to makes a huge difference or impact in our lives. Thank you. I really appreciate Josh, because um, for being not only here, but you are actually open up and shared a number of things, without hesitant, with your personal stories and personal, things. your life actually. So I really appreciate that, and I can see from your voice, and then I can sense that so far those days it's really everything happening for a reason. Nowadays you are helping so many lives and so many people. Of course, whoever is going through a struggle or challenges, maybe you can pass this message and then get connected with Joshua. That's the way. Nowadays is the network or the internet or even the Facebook and everything. Social media is everywhere, so you can find him actually. So please, so try to reach him and whoever is needing the help. And also, don't forget to subscribe our channel, Voice of Men 360. We have here this platform open up every Sundays from 10 o'clock, half an hour or so. Whenever you can, you are willing to, if you are willing to share your stories, please come on, reach us or join our group, Voice of Men 360. You can actually, there's no limitation with a gender or age or nationality or ethnic group. Anyone, from any part of the world, any walk of life, you can come and share your life experience. So thanks a lot again, Joshua, for here and then actually sharing your life story. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for having me. It's been refreshing. I liked it. I haven't shared that whole story, I don't think, with anybody from start to finish like that. So
exactly, yeah. We never know. We never know exactly. Yeah. Thank you for being open and then giving the opportunity to share the story to the world.